Hi guys, it's Sandy P. I'm coming on and because I said I was going to do book reviews of some of the books that I've read from Dollar Tree. Okay, I was going to actually do this so you could see me and the books, but my little stand thing I have to hold up my phone, I can't find it right now. And y'all have heard how Harper destroyed my laptop, my Chromebook. I have to get a new one or get a tablet or something, but I got to get a little bit more money for that. Anyway, I'm going to do a review of three of the books I've read. Oh, I'm not. I'll show you one at a time. First one is Fallout by Will Mara. Okay, this book was a Dollar Tree book I got for $1. Okay, and it says a nuclear power plant, a monster storm. What could go wrong? This book. I mean, I love this book. Okay, there is in this town there is a nuclear power plant, and it is a storm. It's like on the East Coast last year, how they talked about how all the storms, did they call it like uh, oh gosh, I can't think of the words, but how everything was just perfect and it was like the ultimate storm. Um, that's what happens with this in this story. It talks about there's someone, she's the acting mayor of the town, and there's a reporter, and then there is the acting mayor, her husband is an EMT or a paramedic. Um, and then there's a man, a father who got into an argument with his son. And it tells what happens with all these people. Okay, what I love, it starts off, the book starts off in the future. It's like 2037 or, really far in the future. And there's a guard. You don't know where he's at yet. He's at in this little booth thing. And they're talking about baseball, how it's been so many years since the Yankees won the World Series. I loved it. I just thought that part was so cool. Um, Especially with the World Series starting now. And those of you who don't know, go Nationals. Anyway, in this book, it starts with that, and then it takes you back to when everything happened. Okay, there. I'm sorry. This happens in Pennsylvania, I think. And the reporter, she had been getting some information from someone had been leaking her information, and so she goes to this nuclear power plant to talk to the people there. And she's talking about Chernobyl, 3 Mile Island, and different stuff. And the mayor, acting mayor, has been talking about it too. And they're saying, no, there were really no deaths from all that, and all this stuff happened. Well, this is telling you. Oh, and they didn't have lightning rods on the nuclear power plants because it wasn't required by law, so they didn't do it. So the plant was struck by lightning or something during the storm, and so the radiation leaks out and everything, and it's kind of graphic as it tells you how the people get sick, and you find out um, what happens to everybody. The guy who got into an argument with his son left and went to a friend's house, um, and they're trying to find the son because they're telling everybody don't go outside because within a certain amount of time it's going to affect you. And this basically it tells what's happening to everybody as they're going through all this. I don't want to give away too much, but if you like books, I don't know what the real word is, but you know how it talks about the end of the world books, the disaster books and stuff. This is a really good one. This one I read it so it was such a really smooth read too. I would highly recommend this, and especially for $1. Um, and at the end of the book, you do find out what happens to some of the characters in the story. I don't think it told us everything though about everybody, but some people live through it, some people don't. And it talks about how the city, once this city, it takes after so many years, the city is just like in isolation, and it takes so many years for it to grow back again. So that was a good book. Okay, my next one is To the Moon and Back by Karen Kingsbury. This book I got at Hobby Lobby. It was on clearance for $5.25. I love Karen Kingsbury books. And she has a series of books that talks about the Baxter family. anybody who's familiar with her books has probably read some of the Baxter family books. This one has the Baxter family in it, but it's a standalone book. You don't need to know the background of the Baxter characters in order to read this book, and you don't need this book to go along with the rest of them. This book talks about one of the main characters is a young boy who was, him and his mom were inside the Murrah building in Oklahoma City when there was the bombing. And the young boy, his mom died saving his life. And then there's a girl whose parents were both working in the Murrah building, and she was with her grandmother. Both of her parents died. They were both 5 years old when this happened. And then it talks about the Baxter family, how they're coming because one of the girls had been adopted by her aunt after her parents and her siblings all died in a car crash. And she had been reading about that there's like a survivor tree at the Oklahoma City site. I had heard about this too, so it's true. There is a survivor tree, and she wanted to go there and see. She wanted to see the memorial that they have for everybody there, and so on their spring break, this family goes to visit it. And I know what that's like because on my spring break, one year, we went to New York so we could see where it was when they were still building. It was my spring break after 9/11, so we went to New York. But anyway, while they're at the memorial, there's a fence there where people, I guess initially, just like they had in New York, people left pictures or letters, things if they were trying to find somebody who had been in the building, like a survivor, they left this. And our main character in the story, he's leaving a note for this girl, Jenna, who he met when they were 17 years old at the memorial, because she's the one whose parents had died. And Jenna was there the 1 year. Things happened and she didn't come back. It talks about that in the book. But this was the one time where they felt like somebody understood them. They were both 5 when this happened. They were 17 then. And it talks about how main character, I wish I could remember his name. Brady, I think? Bradley? How he goes on, he becomes an Oklahoma City firefighter. And he said people couldn't help them in Oklahoma City at the time of the bombing, but he can do what he can to help people. And it just goes through the story of he's trying to find Jenna and what he goes through to find her, and then when they do meet up again, everything that happens. And the little girl in the story wanted a sapling from the tree. This book does have inspirational like tone to it. It is a religious tone because Karen Kingsbury does write religious books. But if you've read any of those, or if you just like fun fiction, I think it's great. I loved it. It was another one that's a really smooth, easy read. Okay, and my next book actually just finished this morning, The Grand Tour by Adam O'Fallon Price. I love how they say a novel by, as if I didn't know it was a novel. Okay, in this book, there is a gentleman. He is this guy here. He's an author, but as you can see down there, there's all this alcohol and stuff. And he wrote a book about being a deserter in the Vietnam War. And the book reached critical acclaim because this was during the time that there was a Middle East invasion, and whether people were saying it was right, it was wrong, whether we should be there or not. And so his book became a bestseller. So at the time, he was living in Phoenix in a house in the middle of the desert. I mean, in the middle of nowhere, it almost sounds like. They want him to go on this book tour. Well, he hates flying. He flies to the first place that he goes to, and there was a college student there who was there to pick him up. This college student was like his number one fan, and he wanted to know if this author would look at his first story that he wrote. So he hands him over this I think he said like a Kinko copy box, and it has his 200 pages or whatever he wrote of the book. Well, the author reads the first page and just like drops it in the trash. And when the kid comes to pick him up the next day, he sees it in the trash, and so they start off with bad feelings. Well, it ends up the kid drives him around from place to place. The author had a rough time in the past, divorced twice. He has a daughter that he doesn't see. But when they're in Vegas, they reconnect with his daughter. And stuff happens with her. And then the college kid, Vance, he had been living in his house with his mom. His mom hardly ever got out of bed. She was smoking. He had to remind her to eat. And he needed a change, so that's why he went and did this. Well, along the way, the author changes his perspective on life. You find out a surprise about the book he wrote about being a deserter. It's kind of interesting. And the kid grows in everything that he's experienced. He goes to meet his dad, who deserted them when he was young. And the book is written in a way where you read, it'll be like italicized. It's telling what the author wrote about his book, like being the deserter. Because as he goes to different shows, he's reading from the book. The author in the book is a definite alcoholic, and it shows in everything. But it's kind of strange because you'll read what he's talking about, what happened when he was in Vietnam, and then it talks about present day. So you're like reading a book within a book, which I thought was pretty cool. But I would recommend this book too. It wasn't as smooth as a read as the other two, but for $1, you can't go wrong. So right here, The Grand Tour to the Moon and Back. Oh, the reason this is To the Moon and Back is because both kids, their parents used to tell them when they were growing up that they loved them to the moon and back. And Fallout. All three of those books cost under $8 total for 3 books. And they were great. I've got 4 more Dollar Tree books, a book a friend wrote, and a book a friend gave me that I'm going to read still. And I will do my little reviews on them. I was going to say something else, but I don't remember what I was going to say. I want to thank all my new subscribers. And if y'all ever go to Dollar Tree and you see a book that just looks really interesting, I told people on my Facebook page, buy it for me and I'll pay you back. I love books, and taking care of Frank, it's I have a book. I'll take it to chemo with me, along with other stuff. I said the other day when I did my haul that I have like crossword puzzle books and stuff too, but I'll take it to chemo, or when I go and soak in a bubble bath, at the end of the day when it's just like my time, I have a book with me. Right now he's taking a nap. I have my books with me. Right now he's taking a nap, and I switched over to General Hospital. I gotta ask y'all, any of y'all watch General Hospital? Of those of you who did, any of y'all remember back during the Luke and Laura days, when they got married and stuff? So that's showing my age there. Some of the same people are still on, and they got old. I don't remember getting that old. And then there are people from there, I don't know who they are. But then Tad Martin from All My Children's on there, but he's not Tad Martin. But he still looks good, even though he's gray. Okay, that was totally random. Hope you enjoyed my book reviews. And have a great day. I'll talk to you later.